This episode is brought to you by Experian. Are you paying for subscriptions you don't use, but can't find the time or energy to cancel them? Experian could cancel unwanted subscriptions for you, saving you an average of $270 per year and plenty of time. Download the Experian app. Results will vary. Not all subscriptions are eligible. Savings are not guaranteed. Paid membership with connected payment account required.
Hello, gamers! Welcome to the Video Gamers Podcast. We are three lifelong gamer dads who love talking about video games, and on Thursdays like today, we break down this week in gaming and discuss our favorite gaming news stories over the last 7 days. I am your host, Paul, and joining me, he was just so sad last week because of how bad Concord was, but the sadness was very short-lived. He didn't even have to wait a couple of days, because we've got new hero shooters every 4 days. It's Josh.
I will say this, Marvel Rivals turn that frown upside down, boys.
Oh, we're going to get to that in just a second. And then joining Josh and me, he has taken his Fallout talents to Europe and outside the United States for the first time. It's Ryan.
You sound like you're from London.
Okay, you just made Paul Rudd sound mentally challenged. Oh boy. All right, I do love the quote though. All right, guys, let's start with Marvel Rivals. I think we have to start here. So last week on our Twig episode, we talked about how poorly Concord performed.
Ugh.
Basically, nobody was playing it on Steam. We don't know about consoles, but probably not great. Concord failed to crack the top 750 of wishlisted games. Now, I looked this up today. I didn't count because that's a very long ways to count, but I had like 30 games on my screen and I had to scroll 28 times. Jeez. So it's roughly like around game number 840 on the wish list. It is below a game called Pigeon Simulator, where you are a time-traveling pigeon that poops on people. Yes. And by the way, the user tag on the game is memes. And it is also below a dating sim called Love Ghosty, where you set up ghosts to go on dates with each other.
How did Pigeon Simulator fly under the radar for us, man?
It's coming soon.
I'm also
we'll
adding that to my wish list right now.
You got to keep it above Concord too. Yeah. So yeah, keep it coming. All right. So it kind of seems, maybe I'm wrong, but it kind of seems like Concord is sort of DOA already. So enter Marvel Rivals. They had a closed beta.
Superhero landing.
All three of us applied to get into this beta, and somehow Josh is the only one who got into it, so I can't wait to hear more details. But they did say that Marvel Rivals had more than 20 times as many players as Concord. By the way, it's now number 11 on the most wish-listed games. So I think Marvel Rivals is the bigger release. Josh, tell us how it went.
It went pretty good. I did get into the beta by a gift of a beta key from one of our listeners. I don't want to name names, but betrayal. You know who you are, and you are freaking awesome for hooking me up with this key. Also, that's what you two get for not, touting your love of hero shooters. So
fair enough.
But yeah, so I got in, I started playing instantly. I will say I was a little in shock still about how much I didn't like Concord. And I started playing, and instantly, dude, it's got that feels like comfort, because it is basically like a clone of Overwatch. Like even the art style is very similar to Overwatch.
Oh, the maps look very similar.
Yes. I mean, you can definitely tell the influence there. So there's this like instant comfort of like, hey, I kind of get this art style. There is a very large cast of characters. As a Marvel fan, or I used to be a Marvel fan, but then I became another one because I just saw Deadpool and Wolverine. These are characters that I'm familiar with. I know their abilities, their powers, and stuff like that. So it was very cool to hop into a Training ground of all things. Crazy idea for a hero shooter, I know. But I went into the training ground. I started playing around with the different characters, getting used to their abilities. And then I hopped in a match and started trying to get used to like the pacing and stuff. But I gotta be honest, guys, like this is not reinventing the wheel by any means, but playing as Iron Man, flying around the map, using my little repulsor cannons and then my big like ultra chest beam and melting people with it, shooting off little homing rockets and stuff like that was freaking cool, man. I played as Groot, who is like a tank in the game, and he can put up these big vine walls and block off areas, and he's super tanky. Venom's the same way. So it's like you have your traditional roles like you would be used to in Overwatch. Like you have your really tanky characters, you have I don't remember the different categories they call them, but it's like, you have your kind of tactical characters and you have your pure DPS characters and stuff too. So I found it to be quite enjoyable, especially once you get used to the pacing a little bit, because there's a lot going on. There's tons of particles on screen and it's like, it can be very distracting, but once you kind of get your brain used to filtering out all the noise, I'm having a good time with it.
Solid. I love how these devs always get in these flow of what's hot. It's like the Oprah of developing games. It's like you get an open world, you get an open world, you get a battle royale, you get a battle royale. Now it's hero shooters, you get a hero shooter. But
you get a survival crafting game.
Survival
you get
crafting.
A survival crafting.
Yeah. They just start. Oh, hurry, we got to make another one. Yeah, I mean, it looked pretty cool. I guess Paul and I didn't have the in, so I don't know who Josh paid off, but we will find you.
We will find you. Liam Neeson.
Yeah, a particular set of skills. It's not getting invited to betas.
Yeah, exactly. I did read though too that the destructible environments. Did you get to mess around with that at all, Josh?
Yeah, it's not everything, but like you can definitely like destroy pillars and walls. So you can create new like entry points to the points that you're fighting over and stuff as well, which is kind of cool.
Neat.
Everybody has an ultimate ability, which is not as game changing as you would experience in Overwatch, where it's like if somebody pops an ult, somebody's probably dying kind of thing. But and I'll be honest, I have not played a ton. I probably have 15 matches total played so far. But I'm learning a little bit more each time. I'm kind of figuring out which characters are good at what. Oh no, watch out for that guy. He's doing this thing. And so that's kind of the fun of like a hero shooter, is learning the different characters. So yeah, I mean, I'm much, much more impressed with Marvel Rivals than I was with Concord. It seems to have like a little bit of that it factor. And I don't know if it's super cool to be Scarlet Witch and just raining down like magic on somebody, or Hulk, and like just leaping into the fray and like smashing the ground and being like this big hulky tank type character. Like even Spider-Man, like it feels incredible to just swing around the map as Spider-Man.
That's cool.
Because it's just one of his abilities and he can just swing everywhere and then you can land and punch people, but he's like super squishy. So it's almost like Tracer in Overwatch, where it's like, dude, this guy's so annoying. Like, get off me, Spider-Man. But then you like turn around and look at him funny and then he keels over dead. So
are they all all played by Robert Downey Jr.?
Yeah, every single one of them, because they're really trying to save this whole Marvel universe.
He just takes over the world now.
He's doing the Eddie Murphy thing from like Nutty Professor with Marvel. Yeah, I was going to say, while you're kind of, comparing characters to Overwatch, I was not able to see a whole lot of footage, but I did talk to Ryan about Video Game Donkey's video on Marvel Rivals, which dropped today. By the way, he's one of my favorite YouTubers.
That was great.
But he was just cracking me up about how pretty much half the characters are straight up ripoffs of Overwatch. So he's like, in this game, Winston is called Hulk because he just like leaps in and you're doing the damage.
100%. That's true.
Yeah. And Groot, he's like, now Groot has, a lot of voice lines. It's just always, I am Groot. And he's like, now you may think that this is Groot, but it's not. It's May because he's just putting up walls. Yeah, it was cracking me up, but it does look like a lot of fun. I can't wait to play it. I love the fact that they did the same thing that Overwatch did, where there are just so many characters that aren't just like gun shooters where you're just clicking on heads. It's very accessible. If you're not a big DPS guy, You can play as all these characters where that's completely fine. And I love that Overwatch and, now Marvel Rivals, maybe they'll kind of take over. Not to mention getting 6v6 back. Like, how did that feel, Josh? Did you like it?
I do love it, dude. Overwatch is talking about bringing that back, but I really like the 6v6 aspect as well. It's just a little bit more of like a teammate to rely on. If you've got one bad teammate, it's not as bad if you have 6 instead of just 5. I will say this too, this is really cool, is what they do is they do this team up ability thing where if you are playing a certain character, like for instance, Groot and Rocket Raccoon, right? Like if you're playing these characters that kind of mesh in a certain way, they will enhance each other's natural abilities that you use in the game, which is really cool. Like Thor, for instance, with his lightning will supercharge Storm and give her like a different basic ability where she is like shooting out like these enhanced lightning storms versus just her little normal attack type thing. So
that's really clever.
That's cool.
It is super cool. It's not like what we were hoping for, where it's like Hulk grabs Captain America and then flings him and then like Spider-Man smashes him. And, it's not like that, but it does just, you do notice if you have like a team up character on your team, which I think is their way of like promoting like team diversity. You know what I mean? So like not every single person is trying to play like a DPS character. So it's a really good way of saying like, hey, if you're willing to branch out a little bit, your team will actually be a better team and you'll feel the benefit of that, which I thought was a really, really cool tactic to kind of say, hey, this is a team-based game. You guys should probably try to act like a team a little bit.
No, don't worry. Those dweebs are gonna find the meta pairings, and then everybody's got to run this or that.
Yeah.
It'll turn toxic immediately.
For sure.
Yeah. You got to enjoy it while it's new. So I also wanted to ask you, Josh, because the game looks so much more vertical than Overwatch. Because in Overwatch, you've got Pharah who can fly, and like Widow, you can launch yourself in the air for like 2 seconds, and you have to wait a while. When you played as like Iron Man, were there like other Iron Men and people flying around? It seems like you kind of have people fighting in the air and people fighting on the ground, if that makes sense. It's a little more chaotic.
It is a little bit more chaos, but you guys know I really enjoy that. But you do, like I said, your brain starts to kind of filter out the noise after a few matches to where you start just looking up, and you stop paying attention to all the flashy explosions. And it's like, my health isn't going down. Okay, I'm cool. I can keep fighting, or all of a sudden it's like, I'm getting hit from somewhere and like run away. But like, yeah, dude, there's a lot of characters that just straight up fly. And it's not like Pharah, where with Iron Man, like you get a boost ability where you can really like rocket through the air really fast, but he just flies around. You know, and it's like, I mean, I'll have to fly if I don't want to, but it is really neat to kind of be up in the air and like maybe circling around trying to get like that perfect shot or like, sneak attack the healers that are sitting in the back of the crowd or something like that too. And there are different characters like that. So I really liked that fact that it's like, you have to pay attention. Now, I will say the field of view in the game is more zoomed out than you would be used to in Overwatch. So you are kind of seeing more of the map at the same time. But yeah, there's not restrictions on somebody like Iron Man or like Magneto, I think, can fly. Spider-Man's always ziplining around everywhere and, doing flips through the air. He's kind of hard to track and stuff like that too. So, I mean, you definitely have your big bulky tanks that draw attention, but there's also a lot of like the mobile flying characters that you need to be on the lookout for as well.
I can't wait to play it. It seems like a game we will 100% deep dive when it comes out. It's going to be a big deal.
Yeah.
The last thing I was going to mention is we've very recently talked about how games need more portal guns and portal mechanics. Did you play Doctor Strange at all? Because you can make portals.
I did play Doctor Strange. I did not use his portals the right way at all. It was like my third game ever. I was still trying to just kind of wrap my head around everything. And I was like, ooh, I'm going to portal behind. And then I put the portal, but like while you're casting it, you then have to like float the other portal kind of where you want it to be. And I'm pretty sure I was getting shot. So I like panicked and just like clicked the button. And so I had like my portals just crisscrossing at one point. I was like, and then it's like a 3-minute cooldown on using these portals too. It's like they know it's a powerful ability. So I had like a 3-minute cooldown and I was just like, I really botched that one. But you can set that up. I just was not good enough to set that up properly either.
We're getting some of our wishes. Portals in games, destructible environments.
See?
Yeah. 6v6.
Yeah, 6v6.
Yeah.
They're listening to us.
It does feel interesting enough. And like I said, I know that they're borrowing a lot from Overwatch, which I think is a good thing. Like if you have that comfort of playing Overwatch, very easy to just fall into Marvel Rivals and say, I feel like I know what I'm doing. You still have to aim. You still have to line up your shots. You have to have like the awareness and all that stuff that kind of goes into a hero shooter. But at least for me, it's working really well. Like I'm not saying this is like the second coming of the best hero shooter that's ever been made, but for what it is and what is available and how it plays, I could see like a lot of people like moving into Marvel Rivals, figuring out the meta, figuring out combos, and like really having a good time with this game.
More anticipated for Marvel Rivals or Pigeon Simulator?
Oh, dude, don't ask me to choose. I mean, me and Pigeon Simulator go back at least 14 minutes, you know, like
you've been waiting minutes for this game.
I mean, to be fair, I can't poop on anybody in Marvel Rivals, so do have to give the edge there. Yeah.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and take a short break and we'll be right back.
If you're an athlete, you know the greatest motivator of all is the fear of letting your teammates down. After all, a team is only as good as its weakest link. So you owe it to those wearing the same jersey as you to be your best every time you step on the field. That's why there's no vape in team. When you vape, you can expose your lungs to toxic chemicals that can damage your lungs. If you're a step behind, the team's a step behind. Brought to you by The Real Cost and the FDA.
My dad works in B2B marketing. He came by my school for career day and said he was a big ROAS man. Then he told everyone how much he loved calculating his return on ad spend. My friends still laugh at me to this day.
Not everyone gets B2B, but with LinkedIn, you'll be able to reach people who do. Get a $100 credit on your next ad campaign. Go to linkedin.com/results to claim your credit. That's linkedin.com/results. Terms and conditions apply. LinkedIn, the place to be.
All right, guys, before we hit our next story, I did want to mention that for those who love our show and want extra content, we do have a Patreon page. You can get there by visiting multiplayersquad.com. Support starts at just $5 a month. That's the lifeblood that keeps our show going. You get all kinds of cool perks. Make sure to go check that out. All right, Fallout London. We have not talked about this on the show yet, but I know all of us have been aware of it. I think we've even linked it a couple times in our shared docs. It just never quite made it to the show, but it has officially dropped. It is free. It is a mod for Fallout 4. It is a total conversion mod that lets you play Fallout in London. The map is the same size roughly as Fallout 4. It is a very massive project. I mean, this has new characters. It is a brand new story. It has new weapons. For all intents and purposes, it is a new Fallout game. And it is set for the first time outside of the US in London. They did release an official launch trailer. I don't know that I'm necessarily going to pick it up, but I do think that it looks pretty incredible. And I was curious to hear your guys' thoughts.
Oh, yeah. So I'm probably the biggest Fallout fan of us here. So
I think so.
I honestly, I don't know how, but I forgot about this. I'm a big Bethesda guy, big Fallout guy. Love the series. I definitely purchased. I have it on PlayStation, but I definitely purchased it today, downloaded it, and I'm ready to probably play some tonight. If nice. I can get it installed. That might be a little tricky to do, but yeah, it looks so cool. You can tell it's so neat to see just a passion project from somebody, because you know they put a ton of time and work and effort into it. I watched a ton of videos of people kind of reviewing it and looking over everything. The texture packs, the density of the world, like a lot of it just looks awesome. And then it's so neat because there's not the Brotherhood of Steel, there's not a lot of the other factions. So it's looks like Fallout, but it looks like a Fallout we've never seen before. It's all new. Which is,
you know,
go ahead.
You know what you do have? You've got hooligans.
Yep.
You've got guys running around in bowler hats. Like half the characters in this game look straight out of Peaky Blinders.
Yeah.
But I'm actually really for it. I thought it looked really fun.
Yeah. No, I'm super stoked. I'm definitely gonna check it out, and you know, I'm sure I'll let everybody know what I think of it. I'm a little bit in the midst of a Diablo 2 hardcore run, so we'll see which takes precedence. But I'm definitely excited.
Yeah, I got to give this development team credit. Team Folon. I'm assuming it's like just a fan made. Like this wasn't. I'll be honest. I don't know if this was like paid for by Bethesda. I'm pretty sure this started off as a fan made project, right?
Yep.
Dude, credit to Team Folon in that regard. I mean, can you imagine the amount of work that went into this? The amount of passion, blood, sweat, tears, like dealing with Bethesda to say, please don't sue us. Like we're making a mod for your game. And then to have it come out and be the size of Fallout 4. And if you watch the trailer, dude, like the voice acting is good. You know, like you can tell, like they put their heart and soul into this. I'm with you guys. I don't know that I'll have the time or the desire to pick it up right now. I'm just not in a Fallout mood necessarily, but this is, for all intents and purposes, a full-fledged game. Like you said, Paul, this might as well be, you know, Fallout 5 in a sense, where it's like, this is a complete package, man. You have everything you're used to with all the different factions that you can align with and work for. And then you've got to go up against the other factions and stuff like that. You've got all these different areas that they showed off in this trailer, like even the subways and stuff like that. I've never been to London, so I don't know, you know, some of the more popular attractions there and stuff, but you can see a lot of this stuff in the trailer as well. They're talking about, you know, new weapons, you know, like quests and all that stuff, man. Like this thing's the total package and it's free.
Yeah, totally free. And the UI is super clean on it, which I love. Instead of having kind of that goofy compass in the top middle like you always have in Fallout, they've like dropped it to the bottom, but it's all like white instead of green. And I love that it's just so minimal. You've got just your compass bottom middle with quest markers, your ammo in the bottom right, and bottom left is just like your HP. So it gives you like the ability to actually look out and, you know, enjoy the graphics and all that. Yeah, I thought that this looked very, very cool, and I'm glad that it's around, even if we don't play it. And there's still rad roaches, which I loved seeing in the trailer, so you can still still take them on. All right, moving on to our next story. So we have not had a major game delayed in quite a while. I feel like we had such a streak for a long time. Every week we were talking about delays, so I guess it's about time we were due. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 was set to release on September 5th. It has now been pushed back 2.5 months. The new release date is November 20th. Supposedly, this delay is to remove bugs and to make a better final product. However, I can't help but notice what this game was sandwiched between, and I kind of can't help but think that might be the real story here. Do you guys know how many games were slated to come out around this one?
Oh, a lot, dude. A lot. It was initially September 12th, 15th? 5th? Okay, I know I had a 5 in there somewhere. Dude, I mean, when this news broke on social media, somebody posted something and I was just, I know what it was. Somebody had posted something about saying, man, I'm not sure about November. Like we might have Avowed around then, you know, we might have this around then. And I kind of went, we might, but did you see what it was releasing up against? Like, I'm for this, man.
Spread it out.
So let me tell you, in a 21-day stretch surrounding September 5th when it was going to come out, so starting on August 20th to September 9th, we already have the releases Black Myth Wukong, Star Wars Outlaws, Astrobot, and Space Marine 2. That's in a 3-week stretch. And S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 was right in the middle of it all. So regardless as to the actual reasons, I would like to take them at their word, but I would not blame them if that also led into the decision, because we all talked about how there was a 0% chance any of us would play S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 because of the schedule. Now that it's pushed to November, it might actually have a puncher's chance. I mean, I know we might still have Indiana Jones and Kingmakers and some stuff that don't have release dates yet, but at least it's got a chance.
Yeah. I am all for this delay, dude. Whether it's for time to polish and fix bugs, let's be honest. Even if they said, dude, we don't want to go up against these 3 games, man. Like, we don't have the marketing budget for that. Let's just delay it. If that was the only reason, they're still going to use the time to polish the game. So it's like a win-win either way. I know that I have been hyped for this game. And I know we just had a conversation the other day about like, guys, there's so many games coming out. Like, which ones are we going to cover? What order are we going to cover them in? these are things we think about when we do this podcast, right? And so Stalker 2 was that game that it's like, well, I want to play it for me. Even if it's not for the podcast, like this game looks super cool, man. But I just don't know when I'm going to have time. At least there's a chance now. Like, I'll be honest, there are a few games coming out, like Avowed, where it's like, well, sorry, Stalker 2, like Avowed's coming out now. But that list is not as intimidating as what it was up against at this point. And I love the little trailer that they put out where the guy is like walking around the field and it's like the guy over comm saying, hey, we've got a delay. And, like they just built it into like the trailer, which I thought was kind of funny. So I like a studio that's got a sense of humor there as well. So, I am all for this delay because I really want to check this game out. And I feel like this at least gives me hope that I might be able to. Although the one thing is like, dude, if you are just delaying it, there ain't nothing coming in October, man. You know what I mean? Like, just why couldn't it not be October instead of November?
It's only so long. The investors need their money, man.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's delayed too. There's just, you look at it's daunting to see how many games that we're going to have to tackle, which is a good problem to have. It's better than, the opposite, but yeah, I think more time just to get it cleaned up and dialed in so that we just get that nice clean release. I'm all for that. I don't like when games just keep doing delays because then it's like, come on, just be realistic. Give us a realistic time frame and we can go from there. But a little bit, hey, we're gonna kind of get out of this crazy section of the year and get it fine tuned. I'm stoked. So I'm really looking forward to this one. Like you said, Josh, this is like a for us game. I'm ready.
I was going to say, now watch November ends up being packed with Where Winds Me and, Kingdom Come, Deliverance 2, and all this stuff. Yeah, it could end up being packed anyway. All right, so let's talk about what's probably going to be the last story we cover on this episode. Helldivers 2. We haven't talked about it in a little while. You guys definitely liked it more than me, but all three of us absolutely love Helldivers 2. They have a new update coming out on August 6th called Escalation of Freedom. Ryan's bouncing his seat.
Freedom
He's excited.
Is bubbling over.
They are adding a ton of new stuff. They have said that they are releasing a new higher level of difficulty. They're adding new missions, new objectives, new enemies, new planets. And of course, because it's Helldivers 2, all of it's free, which you gotta love. Is this going to get you guys to reinstall and hop back in? Because I don't think either of you have played this in quite a while.
Reinstall?
You still got it?
Paul,
when's the last time you launched it?
Oh, well, let's not talk about that on the air.
We're friends.
Well, there's a difference between launching and reinstalling, too.
Yeah. I'm still committed. I'm still it's hanging out there.
I'm with you, Ryan. Guess what game's still sitting on my desktop right now?
My man, there you go.
Yeah, I ain't uninstalling Helldivers,
right when
man.
Dude, I think it's so underrated too. Just the music in this game. The second I clicked it on, I was like,
trailer,
dun, 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 dun. I was like, yeah.
Yeah, it got me too.
Yeah, right away. I'm stoked. I'm definitely excited. Especially if you guys are gonna hop back in, I'm gonna hop back in. But it's one of those things where it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. We got so many games to cover where I kept getting force of or hijack a host and then there's other games that we play, so kind of fell to the wayside a little bit, but never forgotten. Like I said, still on the desktop, ready to go. But I do have over 150 hours in that game. I'd put 150 more in if we could all play together. So yeah, I'm really excited, and I know, as always, what a great studio, man. Just to what they went through and then to come back and then just give all this stuff for free again, like. Hats off to them.
Yeah, I will say, like, the war bonds that were coming out, I bought into those, but they weren't enough content to really like keep me going. I just checked. I have 130 hours in Helldivers 2. And I kind of just hit that wall where I've kind of done everything that I wanted to do in this game. Other than a war bond that comes out that lets me grind a couple more guns or, some offhand weapon or a grenade or something like that. I just eventually hit the end of the content. And so that's okay. Like, that's a video game. Sometimes you just kind of beat a game and you're done with it. But I knew that I wasn't done with Helldivers completely. Like, there's that third race that they keep talking about that is going to draw a lot of people back in. And this update, I'm all for, because they're calling it a major update. They're introducing a lot of new creatures to it. They're tweaking a lot of things, and I feel like it is enough stuff to draw me back in at that point. So I am also in on jumping back into this, checking out this new content. I don't know if it'll keep me engaged for a long time, but at least it's going to feel good for when we are playing.
Yeah, I just showed you guys. The last time I played was March 8th. So it's been almost 5 months. I'm going to need something that's really big to draw me in. I don't know that this will be it. I think I'm just going to hold out for when they do add the Illuminate or the Illuminati, if you want to call them that. Yeah. And we don't know when that'll be. Some people think they actually might release it sooner than later. Some people think it'll be early next year, but that's probably what I'm going to hold out for. Yeah, so Ryan, you last played June 14th. Honestly, I'm surprised it's not further back. So it's really only, 6 weeks?
Yeah.
Since you last played?
Yeah, I hopped in. Didn't hop in for very long, but you always got to go back in and check things out. Got to do my part for the cause, man.
There you go. All right. Well, anything else to cover, guys? I guess we can just kind of mention in passing, Dark Light Survivor has a trailer that we saw.
Real quick, what's your 30-second opinion on this from the trailer?
I would say, in watching it, it looks a lot like Vampire Survivors. I think the one thing that this has that I haven't seen is that you can swap between isometric view, which works really well when you're doing like melee, but you can also then switch it to third person over the shoulder, like for shooting mechanics. And I thought, that's kind of clever. I wonder if they could work that into more games where you very quickly swap between the two. I don't know that I've really seen that before, but then like everything else kind of seemed a little ho-hum to me.
Yeah, that's kind of what I got. Is like I liked the aesthetic of switching, and it almost gave me like Diablo, like a twin stick shooter vibe for that top down perspective. So I was like, ooh, this seems familiar. But then they went third person over the shoulder, and then I come out, ooh, this is kind of cool. But then the gameplay, like you said, I was kind of like, I've seen all this 1,000 times now.
Yeah, I'm still kind of fresh on all the roguelites, so I probably was maybe a little more hyped about it, but I did think that was cool. You're looking and you're like, okay, this is kind of a roguelite, and then all of a sudden, boom, it pops over your shoulder. You're like, whoa, okay, what's this? So definitely a little different. I thought that was neat, but I guess we'll wait and see.
Yeah, I don't know if changing camera angles is enough to like make a game, but I do like the idea.
I want to see other people take it and implement it in new ways.
Yeah. That
could be very inventive. All right, well, that wraps everything up here for This Week in Gaming. Please make sure to take a look at support options through Patreon. That was at multiplayersquad.com, and you can rate our show 5 stars. Come join the free Discord and toss us a follow on socials everywhere at Video Gamers Pod. Thank you for listening and subscribing. Until next time, happy gaming.
Chip, chip, cheerio. See ya.
Oh, that was a right good episode, isn't it? All right, bye, everybody.